What's up, everyone? Welcome to 49ers Coast to Coast. We're your hosts on opposite coast, Cohn, Jason Aponte. How you doing, Jason?
Great. What's going on, Grant? I like that jacket.
Thanks, man. We're in full quality control mode today. The Niners have won 2 out of 3, and they need to make a run right now. I think it'd be fun just to kind of take stock of like who's really good this year and who's underperforming. I got into this because you retweeted a stat that seemed wrong, and I had to go find where it was from, and then I found it. And I just went down the rabbit hole. It's a place called Sys Data Hub. It's kind of like pro football. It's kind of like PFF, except that it's not trying to charge you anything. It's just giving away advanced stats for free, which is nice. It's very
nice.
So take it with a grain of salt, but we're going to go through their grades today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to quiz Jason. Jason hasn't seen this. I'm going to ask, who do you think is the 49ers highest graded player on offense, on defense, and then we'll go top 5, and then we'll see who is their worst graded player, and we can see where this takes us. But it's just basically an opportunity to talk about a bunch of players that we might not necessarily talk about since it's quarterback central and head coach central 24/7 over here. So
yeah,
the way they do it, it's called estimated points added and estimated points saved. So I don't know even what that means, but let's go with it. Let's start with defense. Who do you think is the 49ers highest graded defensive player?
See, the logical answer, the one that would be the educated guess, right, would be Nick Bosa. But I have a feeling, based on where this is going, is that these are trick questions, and they're here to kind of make us think a little bit more. It's Bosa.
It's Bosa. No, this place isn't crazy.
Okay.
It matches up with reality. It's Nick Bosa. They give him a 22 of points saved, whatever that means, and it's by far more than anyone else on the defense. It makes me feel like this place is legit. What do you think of Nick Bosa's season so far?
I mean, 13 tackles for loss, QB hits, 12 sacks. It's hard to argue that. I mean, the only thing that you would say Nick Bosa really is either lacking in is just that he needs to watch out for those chip blocks by wide receivers and things like that. But I mean, other than that, when he has his one-on-ones, he's doing what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to finish this season with like 15 to 20 sacks and end up getting probably more money than his brother. If he stays healthy, probably more money than his brother, who's making what, 30?
Yeah, that's a lot.
So, yeah, he's got the bag at the end of the rainbow, and he's pretty close. He's having a really good season. If he keeps it up, would you give him the bag?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What he does for this team. I mean, and you know, any sort of, I guess, what's the word? Hesitance because of the injury has been completely blown away though. He's come back and he's been amazing.
Yeah, he seems like he knows exactly how to rehab. He has experience and he's so diligent that I don't know what it takes, but if he seems like he has what it takes. Anyway.
Yeah.
Not
they handled it correctly in camp too. They handled it correctly in camp too. Just get him to the games. It does not matter. None of that other stuff matters. Get him to the games. Get him to Sunday.
And I don't know if you can trust other 25-year-olds with their rehab. Jalen Hurd. But Nick Bosa seems like, he comes from an NFL family. He knows what he's doing,
Yeah.
So it's totally gratuitous.
Yeah, come on. All right, is that the last one? Is that the last one we're getting out of here?
Okay, he's actually the highest graded player on the Niners this year, Jalen Hurd. Okay, Who is the second highest graded player on the defense, do you think?
I'm going to say Aziz I'm going to say Aziz Al-Shaair, only because he's played more games than Jimmy Ward. But I mean, it probably is Jimmy Ward.
It's not Aziz.
It's not Aziz.
I'll give you a couple more guesses.
Okay.
Number 2.
Eric Armstead.
No. One more guess, and then I'll tell you.
One more guess? Goodness gracious. It's not Aziz. DJ Jones?
Jimmy Ward.
Okay.
Jimmy Ward with an 18. He had the 2 interceptions, but his coverage is phenomenal. He's been targeted 9 times. He's given up 4 catches, his 2 picks. You don't want to throw at Jimmy Ward. He doesn't make big hits, I guess. He's not making laying people out. He just erases tight ends from the game.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's always been what I've said about Jimmy Ward and everybody. Well, he doesn't get interceptions. You can't get interceptions if they don't throw the ball at you. And the interceptions that he got in this game were, for the most part, fluky, because one was an arm punt that he was in perfect position for, and the other one was bounced off a defender. So that should have been your way to look at interceptions. 1, they have to actually throw the ball at you, and 2, sometimes they're super fluky, and that's why you can't use interceptions as the way to gauge how to rate defenders, especially safeties.
I think it's cool that Jimmy Ward's finally getting his props. I feel like he's had this skill set for a while, but it took a while for like the Niners coaches to put him in the right position and for like the media to figure it out.
Remember, they had him at nickel for a while there.
They did have him in nickel. They had him at corner. He's not a big self-promoter. He doesn't have long hair. He's not like he's not someone that the media would naturally gravitate to, but he's coming into his own. I don't know what you would say, but maybe he's always been in his own, but he's finally getting his recognition. Second highest graded player on the defense. I love it.
He's becoming a leader. And I think that's really what it is more longest tenured now in the room. You have to listen to me. And the results are apparent. I mean, Talanoa Hufanga, obviously everybody's excited for him, and they should be because it's a 5th round draft pick and, he's playing well, but it's easier for him to play closer to the box when you have Jimmy Ward in the back cleaning everything up. And I think that's the part that gets lost, because when he was out there with Tavon Wilson, you saw Colt McCoy kind of go at both of them. And when you're not communicating correctly, that's what happens.
And I think it's finally his secondary. Like last year, it was maybe Verrett's. The year before that, it was Sherman. Mm-hmm. Now it's Jimmy Ward's secondary, and it's interesting. It's taking on his personality. It's cool. I like it. Second highest graded player on the team. All right. 3rd highest graded player. This person is someone you haven't named yet. He's going to blow your mind. You haven't named this person yet. That's my
Emmanuel Mosley.
Yes, Emmanuel Mosley has the same grade, tied for second with Jimmy Ward with the score of 18. I don't know how they get these scores, but I calculated his coverage numbers on this site, and they have him giving up a quarterback rating of 69.
Well, the PBUs that should be interceptions, 9. Those count. Yeah, those count. He's dropped like 4 interceptions at this point, and he had one broken up by Hufanga too. So I guess that's how you can get to that.
Yep. I mean, it seems to me, I didn't think much of him when they re-signed him. I'm like, man, that's the best you can do. But I got to say, this was one of their better re-signings of the offseason. They didn't give him a ton of money. He still has something to prove. But they signed a young man who's on the upswing, and I think he's showing that he's a quality number 2 cornerback in the NFL.
And that's
maybe better.
We thought, right? That's what we thought he would be. And we were concerned all offseason about, man, if Jason Verrett goes down, this is the one thing that can't happen, because then Mosley slides into that. But for all intents and purposes, he's been fine. If he can convert 1 or 2 of those dropped interceptions, then you're talking about an even better season.
Frankly, he's been better than fine. And in a way, he was kind of the defense's version of Kendrick Bourne.
Okay.
Undrafted dude at a skill position, very important position. And the Niners brought back Mosley because he was way cheaper. Bourne's having a great season. He's having a great season with the Patriots. The Niners probably would have liked to. I think if they learned something is, don't just discard your young undrafted guys and think you can get more. You should look at them as found money and keep them. I'm just saying.
And everybody's gonna get to watch Kendrick Bourne tonight on Thursday Night Football. So I mean, and he's turned into a little bit of a leader over there as well too. I think that's something that's a little bit lost here. Is I saw him on the sideline talking to Jacoby Myers and those guys, getting them hyped, and he just got there. And I think that's a lot of the stuff that he learned from Emmanuel Sanders and his time there at the 49ers. And I mean, when you're around Bill Belichick, you have to have a ton of work ethic. And that's, for one thing, you can say for a fact, Kendrick Bourne always showed you when he was working, and now he's getting the fruits of his labor. Happy for him, man.
What's crazy, and I don't mean to take a shot at the Niners players. I mean, it's just a fact. I mean, Bourne is a better wide receiver right now than Brandon Ayuk. And Brandon Ayuk's good. But Kendrick Bourne, really. Now, maybe Bourne's in his 5th year, whatever. Mm-hmm. So maybe when Ayuk's in his 5th year, he'll be better than Bourne is now. But Bourne really would have been cost-effective, nice, not addition, but player for the Niners.
Well, I can't say that I fully agree with you on the whole Ayuk Bourne thing, but I will say this. I will say that the 49ers did underestimate his, 1, durability, and 2, his clutchness, because all of his catches came on 3rd down and in the red zone, and he was reliable. So when guys would get injured, Kendrick Bourne would be there, and I think that the 49ers kind of underestimated that. But it was obvious that, the big guy upstairs with the computer said, that's too much money, and we made sure we can't pay him that, so let him go get it somewhere else. But I think you underestimate his solid nature and him being there every single day, never being injured.
Good call. All right. Who is the 4th highest graded 49ers defensive player according to Sys Data Hub? You have said this player already.
I'm stuck between Aziz and Eric Armstead, but I'm going to say Aziz.
It's Aziz. Yeah. Apparently, if they give Ward and Mosley an 18, whatever that is, Aziz at 17. He's their highest graded linebacker. He's their 4th highest graded defensive player. He apparently has 14 tackles for loss. He also has a bunch of missed tackles, but this guy, it's like he is what they wanted Quan Alexander to be at a much cheaper price.
So last time I was on here, I don't look at the comments during the show because they're so like up and down and everything. But sometimes I get bored and I sit around and I go back. I was getting cooked for my Dre Greenlaw tape.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, hey, that's a big feather in your cap. You were way ahead of this one.
Doesn't look like he's getting his job back, guys. And I hate to be that guy, but I had people apologizing to me on Twitter saying, man, I actually got to watch and talk about, and what you were talking about. Dre Greenlaw doesn't miss tackles. Let's talk about it. Dre Greenlaw doesn't miss tackles, but you can't miss tackles if you're not in position to make tackles. True. Or if you don't try, okay? True. Now, if you completely whiff or if you don't try, I can give film examples to anybody. If anybody wants to see them, I will send them to you because I have them. I have them all down. I'm not talking from a place of trying to be right or anything like that. It's just what I've noticed. Now listen, missed tackles are defined as when you make contact and the person gets away from you. But what happens when you swing and completely miss and the person blows right by you? Okay, everybody wants to point to Azeez Al-Shaair's one bad game. Newsflash: the entire defense was bad in that game.
That's true.
Very bad. And
Arizona. That's Arizona, right?
Right? Yeah. And for you to say one game, look at Aziz's one game. Okay, bet. Let's talk about the Detroit game because I saw a lot of people, he got a pick six in that game. The ball fell right into the man's hands. He didn't do anything, didn't undercut a route, wasn't in coverage, anything like that. The ball was tipped. He caught it. He ran it back. Good for him. I have multiple spots on film of him being out of his run gaps. Fred Warner yelling at him right after, what are you doing? Jumping out of your gaps. You can't miss tackles if you're not in the right spot to make the tackle. And this was happening since 2020. So 49er fans, when you tell me he's a playmaker, you're remembering 2019. You're not remembering 2020, and you're not remembering what he did in week 1. I understand he tore his groin or whatever. I'm not talking about the injury. I'm talking about regression from 2020 all the way to 2021. It's there. And whether you want to believe it or not is up to you, but you're in love with the stop in Seattle and the interception on overtime. It is not the same player right now. And clearly, Kyle Shanahan sees the same thing because he said he's not getting his job back. Sorry, guys. Hate to be the bearer of bad news. Wait, no matter of fact, I love to be the bearer of bad news. The apologies need to be as loud as the disrespect in those comments.
That was a hell of a victory lap. I don't understand where all this animus to Dre Greenlaw comes from. I like Dre Greenlaw. I think he was a nice little 5th round pick for them. And I think the reason I liked him was I felt that he was an upgrade over Quan Alexander in 2019. Whatever they wanted Quan Alexander to be, I don't think he was. And I didn't think he was making a positive impact on the defense. And you just had this rookie 5th round pick just kind of like trying to do his job. And I felt like all of a sudden the defense was better. But now you have a guy in Azeez Al-Shaair who's actually making the impact that I think the Niners hoped Quan would make. All these tackles for losses, they're going to get that from Fred Warner. That's not his game. I mean, this is the guy that they wanted Reuben Foster to be. Wow. Out of no, I never thought Azeez Al-Shaair could be this. And now he is definitely one of the more, if not the most violent player on the defense. He flies around and he's in a contract year. This is the next Kendrick Bourne. Do not let him get away. This is what you want. Don't think you can just make like Demetrius Flanagan Foles is going to be. He's not.
No.
Give him, he'll be cheap. Resign him, keep him here. He's a very good player.
And the point that I was making when you gave the exercise about what would you do if you're the general manager is there is a large narrative built around Dre Greenlaw, especially amongst 49ers fans. I'm talking about in the NFL about him being more valuable than Azeez Al-Shaair. So why wouldn't you cash in on that and get your 2nd round pick, 3rd round pick for him when Azeez Al-Shaair is playing better than him for cheaper? That's what I meant.
He's at a higher grade than Fred Warner right now. I mean, he's one of the better linebackers in the NFL right now. Contract year, he needs to stay in the 49ers. Give him an extension now. That's what Balky used to do, right? A little early. Hey,
it was happening in camp. Yeah. We saw it when I was there at camp. I was like, man, look at Al-Shaair. He's balling right now, and it's translating. So, guys, just listen a little bit more when I talk. Take your feelings out of it. 2019's over. And that was an amazing play. I loved it. Great play. Sent the 49ers on the way to the Super Bowl. Great. That was then. This is now. Azeez Al-Shaair is playing better than Dre Greenlaw. And if I was general manager, I already told you. You move Jimmy, you move Greenlaw, you recoup those picks, and you sign Azeez Al-Shaair back and draft another linebacker.
I can't go that far. I don't think Greenlaw's worth anything. But
I think
what I will say is he's signed for next year. And you can play 3 linebackers in your base defense. So it's nice to have all 3.
Well, and that's another thing, right? So like Drake Greenlaw's not going to go right back into starting, but it's a good problem to have because you have depth. Yeah, you have depth.
It's him. You were the same when Quan Alexander was here. You can definitely do that. It's not your fault that Azeez is better than you. Sorry. Okay. Number 5. Who is the 5th highest graded player on the team? I'm going to give you 3 guesses on the defense. Give me 3 guesses because I don't think
Fred Warner.
No.
Eric Armstead.
No.
DJ Jones.
No. I'll give you 2 more guesses and you won't get it.
Josh Norman.
No.
I've named everybody.
Tart.
Oh, wow.
In 6 games, they've given this guy a 12 in points saved. Tart.
Okay.
This is the guy that, again, that isn't going to get his job back.
Well, I have a feeling that you have some strong Hufanga takes, so I want to hear this, actually.
I mean, Hufanga's cool, but, like, he was a 5th-round pick. Tart was a 2nd-round pick. The level of athleticism, I would imagine, I don't know Jaquiski Tart. And he's had injuries, and he's probably not going to be in the team next year. But when he's at practice and he watches Hufanga, I doubt he's threatened by him. He's like, he's not half the athlete I am. But, yeah, cool story. Good job.
So, all right.
Right?
49er fans, look, Hufanga's, I get it. I get the excitement. Here's 2 things that I want to stop. Stop calling him Troy Polamalu.
Right.
Because that's disrespectful to Troy Polamalu, and not every Polynesian
player. Unfair to this. He doesn't have to unfair to him. Yeah, and because they're both Polynesian.
They're both Polynesian. They went to USC. Stop.
If you're a Polynesian safety, you have to be a Hall of Famer. Otherwise,
no. Stop that. Stop that. That's ridiculous. Okay. Yeah. And I get this. Look, he's a 5th rounder, and what you're getting from him is great. Yeah. But what Jaquiski Tart and Ward do is the ultimate flexibility, and you don't have to worry about on the back end. You can do many more things. You can't run fire zone blitz when Hufanga's in the game. Do you notice that the 49ers have to bring more pressure when Hufanga's there? You know why? You can't leave him out there in coverage too long. No disrespect to the player. We're just talking X's and O's. This is it. The only thing
if he was better in coverage, he would have been a 1st-round pick. Sorry.
And the only thing that you could say about Tart is that he's not on the field. That's it. Because he's injured. That's it.
But in 6 games this year, he has a higher in 6 games. He has a higher grade than Fred Warner, Eric Armstead. I mean, take it with a grain of salt. It's just Data Hub. Maybe PFF disagrees, but damn, good for you, Jaquiski. I mean, if you could actually stay healthy, really, you are worth $7-8 million a year. It's just that you only play 8 games a year, but those 8 games are good.
And the other thing is remember, so he went into free agency and the salary cap was lowered. So what he did was 2 things, and this is what really kind of frustrates me with 49ers fans. 2 things. One, he wants to be here. He wants to be a 49er. He likes being here. Regardless of the fact that you guys, all you do is slander him, he actually wants to be here and be an all-pro here. But 2, he bet on himself to make sure that next year when he becomes a free agent, he can reset his market when the cap goes up and he gets another look. Look, say what you want about the injuries, that's fine. I'm just talking strictly X's and O's. You can be fine, and it's clear that they want Hufanga to be the guy. Because they've been pushing him to get snaps. They've been pushing him even when Tart was out there. They've been pushing to get him snaps.
Hey, man, they wanted Adrian Colbert to be the guy. I mean, they wanted a lot of things in life.
Yeah. So like it's cool to be excited
about Tart just yet. Yeah.
No, it's cool to be like excited about Hufanga, but stop playing with Tart, man, and acting like you don't understand what he brings to this team.
He makes the defense better. Okay, so the number 1 snub that it was not top 5 on the defensive grades, Fred Warner. He was number 6 at 11. So not having a bad year, but this is a guy who was all-pro last year, and they're paying top dollar, and currently he's the 2nd highest graded linebacker on the team. Maybe that's not fair, but what have you seen from Fred Warner this year?
It's tough to say. Yeah. Because in the beginning I was thinking he's thinking too much. He's got too much on his plate. Yeah. He's not reacting as fast. I'll be honest with you, and I want people to normalize this sort of answer. I don't know. Yeah. I can't tell you what I'm seeing, and I can't tell you why that he's not playing to the level of the contract. I thought it was interesting. 49er X365, JB. You know JB, right? Brent?
Yes. Of course I do. Yeah, Jesse Brooks. He went to my high school. Yeah.
Yep. So he posted a video talking about listening to what Fred Warner said about, I'm working as hard as ever. I'm just not getting the results and being frustrated by it. And he talked about, I felt that not only in football, but in life where, you know what, I want to go harder, but sometimes the things aren't the results. Fred Warner's father commented on the tweet and said, Fred is working as hard as he can. He is trying to work it out. His father believes that he's not playing up to snuff as well, too. And he said the same sort of thing. Is he's working as hard as he can and he's not getting the results that's expected. So it's fair for 49er fans to say, hey, he's not playing up to snuff right now. His own father believes that. Fred has been saying it. John Lynch said it, even if I don't agree with him saying it, publicly like that, because I'm tired of, why does general managers have radio hits? I don't understand. Does any other team have a general manager that does radio hits every week? Just John Lynch, why are you talking still? Just stop talking. I get that you're good with speaking, but stop talking. I get it. Fred has said what he said. Huh?
Is he good with speaking? I mean, he doesn't seem it. I mean, he's
not good with speaking now because
he doesn't seem to make the issue better.
He's feeling it because two things stuck out in that interview. When he said that stuff about Odell Beckham, that's absolutely unnecessary. You have no reason to say that at this point. No reason to say that. And then the Fred Warner thing, I feel like Fred's already iterated that over and over and over. You don't need to talk about that. But at the same time, Fred will tell you he's not playing up to snuff. His father recognizes, and it's just I don't know why. I don't know why, and I'm not going to sit here and try to act like I know.
Let's look at it. I'm here at Sys Data Hub, and last year they gave him a 51, which is off the charts. I mean, this is a place that acknowledged how great Fred Warner was. He's got an 11 this year. What are some differences? Well, in coverage, last year the completion percentage against him was 52. Now it's 62. Last year, yards per target was 4.6. Now it's 6.3. Last year he had 22 pressures. This year he has 4. So he's not making the impact he made in the past. Maybe that's because D'Amico isn't using him the way that Saleh did. I don't know.
That's one thing I'll point to. A lot more last year. They ran a little bit more man, but they still were, ran cover 3 and everything. Yeah. So it's a little bit of a scheme change. Maybe it's something where he's still getting adjusted. I, for one, thought that this would be better for him because D'Amico was a linebacker, and I thought he was just going to push everything on his plate, and you were going to see more. But obviously, it hasn't translated that way. So I guess that's what I would point to, is that it's just different schemes at this point.
Also, I would say one more thing, and I don't know if there's anything to it, but Fred Warner's evolution, the evolution of his body. When he came into the league, he was a skinny, tall linebacker his rookie year who kind of got dragged around. And then the next year, he was way bigger. And then last year, he was huge. And I could see it in training camp. Like, this guy's totally changed his body. This year, I think he slimmed down a little bit. And he's not quite – I think he looks a little different than he did last year. I mean, last year he looked like – I don't know. Last year, he looked like a guy who you'd want to give $20 million a year to. This year just seems like a little bit more the way he looked when he was a little younger, a little slimmer. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
But I will say this, and this is me taking the optimist side of it.
Yeah.
The second half of the Rams game, that looked like Fred. So maybe that's a springboard into the rest of the season.
Okay, last thing, and then we'll go to offense. Who do you think the lowest graded starter on the 49ers defense is this year?
It better be Josh Norman.
It's not.
What on earth? All right.
Norman has a 7, which is a respectable number for a starter.
Oh, it better not be who I think it is, because you're going to have a field day with it. Eric Armstead.
Oh, no. Armstead's a 10. Armstead, Warner, and DJ Jones are all in that respectable, kind of like not making a huge impact, but
I know who it is. Ebukam.
Thank you. A 1. A 1. A 1. And I don't know what that means, but damn. They bet on traits, and it's just not translating. That one I can't argue against that one. They gave him good grades in the past in LA. I think it's a bad scheme fit.
Yeah.
He's an outside linebacker. They're asking him to be D Ford. He's looking like
they were just betting on traits. They thought that they could bet on his speed sometimes.
Dakota Watson.
Okay.
Dakota Watson, expensive Dakota Watson.
Well, they were betting on his speed. They thought that they could use that against, in certain plays. But when you do it over and over and over, it's not going to work.
Yeah, so Samson Ebukam, waste of money. Sorry. And they got to get rid of him because he's like $3 million this year and $8 million next year.
Yeah, the cap goes up.
Oh, they got to get rid of him. Okay, no harm, no foul. You didn't cost you that much next year. You can get rid of him. Whatever, didn't work out. But the problem is you signed him, and basically the Niners had a choice between him and Kendrick Bourne. And they went to the same college. They're the same age. You had Bourne. The Rams had Ebukam, and you coveted their guy who you didn't really know that well.
It's the philosophical way that they build their team. Everything is pass rush. So when it comes down to, okay, what can we get from this guy? Pass rush or a third down possession receiver? I think that's the way. I mean, in hindsight, this looks bad. But I was all for it because I thought. Me too. Yeah, me too. Like, I guess what I'm saying is, like,
not to blame him, but what did we learn here? Because it was a mistake. Don't just give away. This is the Kendrick Bourne mistake. Don't make it with Azeez Al-Shaair.
And this is the perfect example of what you know and what you think you know. And you should always go with what you know.
Yes. And when a quality organization that wins a lot is not looking to bring back Samson Ebukam, you got to wonder why. You got to wonder why. Anyway, that's been a miserable failure. Sorry. Disappointment of a signing. Now let's go offense. Who do you think, and this definitely is positionally weighted, has contributed the most points to the offense this season? Who's the highest graded offensive player?
Trent Williams.
It's the quarterback.
How is
it's
it
Jimmy
not
Garoppolo.
Really?
Now, I don't quite understand it, but
me neither.
Among quarterbacks, he's graded 19th. So it's kind of like I think quarterbacks are naturally going to get the most points in your offense.
So that's part of their grade.
Highest in the offense, but 19th amongst quarterbacks. Do you think that's fair?
These last 3 games, yes. These last 3 games, yes. And you know, look, for everybody this last week, man, he only threw the ball 5 yards, whatever, middle of the field. Those were some tight window throws. And when you're the game
plan, that's his game, whatever.
And when the game plan is rush the ball 40 times and throw it 25 times, Jimmy made the throws, man. The thing is when you start getting into that 30, 35, 40 attempts, that's when the no throws are going to happen. But when you can limit that because you're running the ball, Jimmy Garoppolo can execute a game plan. And I'm not sure that anybody should be surprised by that. I thought that's what we all knew going into this season. I thought that's what we all knew. I'm just shocked that he's the highest graded. That doesn't make much sense to me, but I have to look into this grading system.
I don't get it either. I think it's just because he's a quarterback and I don't know. But see, to me, the thing that's crazy about Garoppolo is like, if the Niners had decided, like all of a sudden they like Jimmy, right? All of a sudden they really like Jimmy. If they had decided they liked him last year, they could have extended his contract, given him another signing bonus and made him very cheap. His cap number could have been 12. And if his cap number is 12 in a given year, man, I love him. All of a sudden, right?
That's what I was going to say. I think that the cap number, number and what you're paying him for the production and the sort of game management is not adding up. Now, if that cap number and that salary is much lower, and you're able to bring in other free agents and load this team up, then you're fine with it. But
it's fine. Look at the Patriots; they're good. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying Mac Jones will be worth $27 million a year, but what is he at right now? It was 7. That's cool. Yeah. But that's what I look at Jimmy as. Like, yeah, I mean, he's a good quarterback, but there's a certain point where you're paying him too much. And that's what the Niners have been there for years.
And that's the only problem, because everybody wants to point to last year. Well, he wasn't even in the top 10 in paid quarterbacks. Yeah, but that number grows in the dead cap every single year. And I think that's what people are worried about. And when you talk about being able to get out of the contract for basically nothing when you had the chance to do it, and now next year, wherever he gets traded to, you're going to have to eat some of that money and help that team. You can't just send that money over. Nobody's going to say, yeah, we'll take Jimmy and the $26 million. So when you send him to Pittsburgh, you're going to say, hey, man, we got to pay 8, and you take the other 18. And they'll say, cool, because the Pittsburgh Steelers just came out today and said that they are not going into the draft, anything like that, rookie draft. The next person who replaces Ben Roethlisberger is going to be a proven quarterback in this league, whether that's Aaron Rodgers, whether that's Deshaun Watson, I think it's Jimmy Garoppolo. He seems like a natural fit to go right over there.
Could be. When people when people support Jimmy Garoppolo, he's not that overpaid. I mean, really, his average per year isn't that high. And that's true. The thing is, people who get paid more, usually teams work with them and backload the contract, and they have it so their current cap number isn't too high. And they keep renegotiating and extending and giving signing bonuses and making them somewhat affordable in the short term. The Niners haven't done that with Jimmy. They've kept him really expensive so they could cut him whenever. But you don't want to cut him. So extend him or replace him. It's just now they're in this position where they have the most expensive quarterback room in the league, and they're mediocre because other positions matter. I'm sorry. They do.
Yeah, and I think that's
their defensive line isn't that good. That's the crazy thing. Their D-line isn't that good.
That's everybody's complaint, right? You drop that number and you free up some money, and you can load up on pass rush and make this team more lethal. Or you could have got yourself a cornerback. You could have got a cornerback, something like that, anything like that. You know, and I think that's people's complaints.
Right. Okay, so Jimmy Garoppolo, number 1, because he's the quarterback, 19th amongst quarterbacks. That seems kind of fair. Who do you think is the second highest?
It better be Trent.
It's not.
What?
Someone is far and away number
Debo.
2. Not even close. Debo.
Yeah.
Debo is the highest graded wide receiver in the league.
Wow. In the league.
So Jimmy's got a 35. Debo's got a 30. I mean, he's almost as highly rated as the quarterback on his team. Debo is the offense right now. He's an MVP candidate.
And that's exactly what I was just about to say. I know he's not going to win MVP because quarterbacks are the ones who win MVP, and that's who's going to win it, whether that's Tom Brady, who I think, is going to just go crazy the rest of the year after this one blip on the radar and everything and wind up winning this thing. But think about valuable, right? Most valuable. If you took Deebo Samuel away from this team, where would they be? Where would they be? Literally, where would they be?
They'd have a couple wins, maybe.
Maybe. That Chicago game does not count. The Chicago game is not a win.
No.
He literally saved Jimmy Garoppolo's job and the 49ers season in one run.
Thank you.
That's one run.
Yep.
One run.
That's true. So Deebo Samuel, far and away number 2, highest graded wide receiver in the league, MVP candidate. He's like Percy Harvin. I don't want to say Percy Harvin on steroids because he's not on steroids. I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? Like, he's Percy Harvin plus 25 pounds of muscle.
He's super Percy Harvin.
He's super Percy Harvin, man.
And stop calling him a wide receiver.
MVP candidate at his best.
Right.
Yeah.
And stop calling him a wide receiver. That's the difference, right? I'm tired of people talking about, wide receiver. No, he's an offensive weapon. Use him and line him up everywhere, and he does everything.
He's a postmodern football player. You can't label him.
Don't quantify him and don't put him in a box. Don't put him in a box.
Deebo
And also, I apologize, Deebo Samuel, because in the offseason, I called you the most overrated player on this offense. I was absolutely wrong. I had to eat crow. Oh, you don't remember that? Yeah, you do remember that, Grant. You damn set me up for that damn answer.
I did. Sorry about that, man.
No, Deebo, I apologize. You got me, bro. And I was absolutely wrong. I'm happy to eat crow on this, and I'm happy that you heard me.
Am I the only one who feels bad for Trey? Every time I see him on the sideline, I see his face, and it feels like he's thinking, God, I wish I would have gone 3rd round and been taken by anyone else. Yeah, I do feel bad for him, man. Like, he seems like he just got drafted into someone's messy relationship, Like, what? Why am I here?
And the problem is Jimmy Garoppolo's not giving his job back,
no.
Right? Because we're all just waiting for either the injury or for him to play bad, but neither has happened at this point. It happened in one game, and then Kyle Shanahan said in that one game, hey, man, we don't really want you to hand the ball off. We want you to just run it a ton. So, you just do this, So, I mean, look, it is what it is. It is what it is at this point. Jimmy Garoppolo's not giving his job back until he falls flat on his face. He would have to throw up an absolute stinker against Jacksonville for that to even be a discussion going into next week.
Okay. All right. So here's where their grades get weird, and I don't vouch for them, but I mean, I'm not grading, so who am I to say? Ooh. Who do you think the 3rd highest graded player on the 49ers offense is so far?
Kyle Juszczyk.
No.
I'll
give you 3 guesses. It's not Kyle Juszczyk.
But it's not Trent Williams.
It's not Trent Williams.
It's George Kittle then.
No.
It's Elijah Mitchell then.
No.
What on earth then? I have no idea.
It's Alex Mack.
Alex Mack. What?
It's Alex Mack with a.
See, but are we shooting down our own arguments for the players on defense with these offensive grades here? Because how on earth? I mean, look, he's fine.
I don't know. They seem to really like him. I don't get it. But Alex Mack with a score of 18 is coming in at number 3. Let me see if I can get inside the numbers with Alex Mack, because when I watch the film, I don't see anyone super great.
How is he graded higher than Trent Williams?
Now, I'm not going to give it away. It's close. It's not like it's close between those two, but they're giving him an 18, which he had a 19 all of last season. They seem to feel like he's kind of back to his level from a couple of years ago. He's got no penalties. What else? I mean, he looks, I don't know. They're really impressed. I couldn't tell you. I don't know how to interpret advanced offensive line grades.
This one,
giving up one sack, they say. I don't know.
This is what kind of scares me right now, right? So, like, I feel like we propped up the argument for Aziz over Dre Greenlaw on this, these numbers. But when you grade Alex Mack over Trent Williams, how can I take your grading system serious? What the hell? Trent Williams is the best left tackle in the world right now, and he's throwing grown men to the floor with ease. He doesn't give up a pressure, I feel like, in 9 years. Like, it's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, look, all I'm going to say is it's close between them, and I just want to say, I was under the impression that Alex Mack was having a bad season.
I thought it was fine.
It seems to me that he's being solid plus.
He's fine, but fine shouldn't be graded higher than Trent Williams. What on earth?
Well, we're going to talk about Trent Williams in a second. Is there anything nice we can say about Alex Mack before we move on?
He's better than everybody that has been playing the position since Weston Richburg.
Yeah. And it seems like for the Niners to be able to have these overwhelming running performances, the center's important. So
yeah. And the center is valuable in this offense, and that's why Kyle Shanahan brought him here. One, he's a Shanahan guy, and once you're a Shanahan guy, you'll find yourself with a job no matter what. But he was a veteran that you could bring in, and I felt like he was unfairly bashed last season in Atlanta, and people just were writing him off. So I like the move and everything as well. It's just I just have a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that Alex Mack is being graded higher than the best left tackle in the world.
Yeah, I really don't understand what they're basing this on. So just something to start a conversation. Basically, the main takeaway here is that they're high on Alex Mack. Fair. Okay.
Alex Mack truthers, this one's for you.
Who do you think number 4 is?
It better be Trent Williams. Come on.
It's Trent Williams.
All
Williams. Let me bring up some of his advanced stats. I don't know why they're a little bit down on him, but I mean, that's a good score. He's rated higher than a lot of other good players in the Niners offense. They got him at 3 holding penalties. Maybe that's bringing him down just a hair. But other than that, he's blown only 7 blocks, which is phenomenal. He's a hell of a player, both in pass protection and in the run game.
49er fans are super spoiled, man. How did the 49ers upgrade from Joe Staley? How? It's incredible.
True. Yeah. Yeah, the only thing with Trent Williams is I'd like to see him
get on other people.
Yeah, but it's like, how can he, right? He's never really been on a good team. He's never been on a good team, right?
See, but all right, here's the thing, Grant. I think that we don't really know what goes behind closed doors, what's going on. Like we don't know what's being said. Like just because he's not yelling at people on the sideline doesn't mean that he's not like, look,
that's true.
I like Lincoln Tomlinson, and this is a great find for this team. But how much does Lincoln Tomlinson's success have to do with the fact that he literally knows for a fact that he has never has to worry about to his left side what's going to happen? Like I don't have to worry about that guy getting past him. I can just focus on my guy and my assignment. Like give you can say whatever you want about Daniel Brunskill, but Daniel Brunskill sometimes has to like dive into other guys to save whoever's playing at right tackle at times. So I think that the impact goes a little bit further than that, and we don't know what's being said behind closed doors when it comes to that. So I'll say that at least.
Okay. So Trent Williams having a good season according to this place. He's
an amazing season, the best in the game.
All right, number 5. Actually, this guy's tied for number 4. Sorry, Laken Tomlinson.
What? Wait a minute. Laken Tomlinson and Trent Williams are tied.
They're tied. Look, I'm sorry. Don't be indignant. I know it's upsetting, but let's just give Laken Tomlinson some credit. Apparently, he's having a hell of a year.
He's playing very well. You never hear his name called, and that's how you know he's playing good offensive line. There's never a time where you're like, man, what the hell is Lincoln Tomlinson doing? You never scroll through Twitter and you see, oh my God, Lincoln Tomlinson's getting whipped. He's not, and that is great. And this is a great find by the 49ers. They have done a hell of a job, and he has been quietly one of the better offensive linemen because we never discuss him. Have you ever gotten on one of these shows and said, man, I'm tired of watching Lincoln Tomlinson get beat? He doesn't get beat, and that's the thing.
We never talk about Lincoln Tomlinson, and that's
never.
A good thing. I think he sort of sees himself as a guy who's on the way out, that they're looking to replace. So what's he doing?
They're going to let him walk and try to bring somebody else in, and he's going to get it back somewhere else. So what's he doing?
Just killing it and having a hell of a year. And if the Niners don't want him, someone else will. So the Niners going to have to think really hard about this because Aaron Banks, who they brought in to most likely replace him, may not be an NFL player. And Tomlinson is having a hell of a year. So good for Laken. I was looking at this offensive line as being really bad, but even Brunskill's gotten a good grade from these people. I'm not going to say but they really are high in the Niners offensive line this place.
Brunskill just needs to make sure that he envisions Aaron Donald on the other side of him. If he does that every single game, he'll be fine.
Pretty much. Okay, so the number 1 snub that I didn't mention, George Kittle.
Unbelievable.
They give him a 9. And this is a guy that everyone has given terrific grades to for years. What is their deal with Kittle?
Is it the fumbles one fumble?
Let's see. As a run blocker, forget they don't. Let's see this. His rating when targeted is 93. That's by far the lowest of his career. His career rating is 104. I guess
is his fault?
Time. He's missed some time. No, maybe it's not his fault.
I haven't seen. He hasn't had drops. I would say that if there's incomplete passes this way, they're usually either off target or they're in traffic. I'm watching George Kittle play, and he got targeted in the red zone 2 straight games. That's the first time that George Kittle has scored back-to-back touchdowns in his career.
That's true.
Unbelievable.
Last year, he caught 79% of his – no, just kidding. I'm trying to figure it out. Last year, he caught 75% of his targets. This year, it's 69. It's not that different. But he does have 2 fumbles. He lost one of them. No
But
drop.
I wouldn't say the incompletions are his fault. He doesn't really have drops, right?
That's
This
a good
year.
point.
Not this year.
That's a good
Not
point.
this year.
Yeah. I mean, really, his grades in 18 and 19 were off the charts. And since then, he hasn't been graded that highly. And maybe it's just because he's missed time. I don't know. It seems like Debo's kind of taken the play away from him. He used to get much more action than he does now.
Oh, I mean, listen, at this point, can you blame them?
No, they're making the right choice.
Every time they need a big play, it's Deebo Samuel.
Yeah. So George Kittle, not quite the player he used to be, but still an excellent player and an asset. Okay. Who do you think the lowest graded player on the offense is? This is a starter. And this guy has a lower grade than Samson Ebukam, who has a 1. This guy has a 0.
Brandon Ayuk.
No, he has a 4.
Wow. It can't be Elijah Mitchell.
No, he has a 10.
Wow. Brunskill.
No, he's a 15.
When Clinchy?
No, 11. They like 11. And he's missed a couple times. Missed a little time.
Have I named everybody? Debo, Ayuk, the lowest graded?
Yeah, you're not thinking of him because he's not good.
Check?
Yes, a 0.
But
no,
right.
they historically give him very low grades every year. So maybe they're just anti-juice. Maybe they don't like juice.
Or maybe they just don't like fullbacks. And based on their grading system, fullbacks don't really have that much of a. Because look, I can make the argument that the Chicago Bears game was the best game that Kyle Juszczyk has played as a 49er. And he didn't have one catch, one touch, anything like that. He was setting the edge, blasting people, then get into his block and get into the second level. So I have to get into this grading system a little bit more. That's a little bit shocking to me.
It was a little shocking to me too, because I always liked Juszczyk.
Right.
I always thought that the more they got him involved, the better they were.
Right. And that's the thing, right? Like, this is my first time being in camp this year. And anytime that he was in front of somebody, whoever was guarding him, including Fred Warner, any of them, he baked them. And he was winning routes. So it's like, why aren't you involving him? But I guess this grading system doesn't go for fullbacks because fullbacks are largely obsolete in this game. There's only a few teams that employ them. So I guess maybe that is what is throwing it off a little bit. But
I have no idea how they evaluate blocking. No idea how they.
And I thought honestly that Juszczyk is having one of his better years. And I am on record that Bears game is his best game as a 49er, and he didn't have one touch in that game because he was so good blocking. He literally would go chip somebody, then get to the second level and open up a crease for Elijah Mitchell.
Now, what I will say though is against the Rams, the Niners offense run game really didn't work with Juszczyk in the game. I'm not saying it was his fault, but it seemed like the Rams base defense was all geared up to stop the run. And as soon as they replaced Juszczyk with Jeff Wilson Jr. and just ran the same freaking plays out of 11 personnel with Wilson as a fullback and Debo as the running back, it worked. So I don't know. It just seemed another guy the Niners gave a lot of money to, Juszczyk. It was the first guy they signed this offseason. And he's a little bit older. He plays a position that's kind of a part-time position. And I think his impact is a little bit maybe overstated. It's a little bit anecdotal.
Well, again, and what Shanahan uses him for is creating angles in the run game, things like that. But again, you kind of overpaid for a guy who can run routes. So it's like you can create those angles while also when you're down George Kittle, what is the harm in putting him out there against a linebacker and watching him cook if you can get him the ball because you've seen him in space and get the ball and be well, and that's the thing that frustrates me a little bit. I had heard you and many people from camp say, why isn't he more involved? And maybe I just like brushed it aside. But until I got to see with my eyes, because they do those one-on-one drills, I was like, oh my goodness, man, get this man the ball, get him in space and use him more, especially because you pay him so much. If this was Josh Hokett, whatever, I get it, man. Like, don't I don't care. Don't use him. You don't pay him anything like that. But you're paying him as a running back.
Here's what I would do with Juszczyk if I were the play caller. One a game, a screen. Why not? It seems like he'd be really good at that. A screen, one. But no, something. Anyway, Juszczyk, lowest graded player on the team. Maybe that's just tells you everything you need to know about this grading system. That's it. Anything else you want to talk about? We got a little time.
No. Good to see you. And it's good to talk about a win, right? And that's this week has been really good because we get to talk about the positives. The 49ers get back to what they want to be, and hopefully they found something in their identity. And I think the 49ers are going to beat the Jaguars this week, but I would caution against thinking that this is going to be some sort of blowout because the Colts struggled with them. They literally just beat the Bears. The only thing that's really going to save you, the fact that Trevor Lawrence isn't playing too well at this point, but the 49ers better be ready. They better be ready on Sunday. Do not sleepwalk through this game. Otherwise, we're right back to square one that we were at the week before.
I feel like this game is just as big of a test as last game because, I mean, they're not as good as the Rams, but it's a trap game, right? The Niners, what they do this year is play down to their opponent or play up, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's a good team, they compete. If it's a bad team, they sleepwalk through the first half. So short week, East Coast, early start, the freaking Jacksonville. Don't be losing at halftime like you were against Chicago. Don't do that. Let me show me that you now have a standard that you're like, well, we're gonna play like this every week. Because I don't know, man. I'd like to see that.
I hope they found it because last year they kind of showed us that, right? They lost to Miami. Then the next week, the Rams, they whipped the Rams, and then they kind of just went right back to the same thing the next week, which was Seattle. And I mean, I understand Seattle's different than Jacksonville, but if you found an identity in this Rams game, continue to establish that and go with it.
Definitely. Let's answer some questions. Matt says 2020 Niners offseason better equal 2021 Pats offseason. Don't tell me the cap is an excuse. Ask Rams. If Jimmy Garoppolo is gone, we better sign blank checks for interior offensive line and cornerback.
That's cap. It's all cap. No, listen, there's a bunch of cornerbacks out there that you can go get. Plenty. Like when I came on the show and I was talking about like AJ Boye and them, everybody's like, oh, the cap. I was like, bro, how much do you think that he's gonna make? How much do you think that that's gonna cost you? It's not gonna cost you a ton. So if next year the cap goes up, Jimmy Garoppolo's some of his money comes off the books. Remember, there's about 31 free agents that are gonna be off this roster next year. Probably the team's gonna look drastically different. Spend some money, man. And you know where that goes to. We don't got to talk about it.
Juice played tight end.
He also played quarterback. Did you know that? Also, did you know that he went to Harvard?
Harvard!
What?
That's amazing.
Oh, my goodness.
You never hear about that. Why don't people talk about that?
Never.
Alex says, Grant, this past game versus the Rams felt like the most physical game for the Niners this season. Do you think that Kyle was scared to play physical football with the Niners due to the trauma of injuries last season and this season? No, I don't think it was Kyle. I think it was the team that they need, for whatever reason, they needed a wake-up call and it happened this week. I don't know.
Two things. He knew exactly what he wanted to do to be effective, and it kind of worked in his favor. Once you run the ball and as many times as you do and you have 18 on the first drive, you're like, okay, we're good to go here. Also, the right side was largely unknown. Look, Jalen Moore, unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to evaluate him. So what do when you don't have McGlinchey in there? As much as everybody wants to pile on him, you dial up quick passes and you run right at that side. So I think Kyle did it. It was game plan specific. He's going to have to keep doing this because Josh Allen is out there and he's going to be on that other side. And if Jalen Moore can't go, then Tom Compton, who was fine in the last game, is going to be back out there. So you can't like dial up long, deep passes and expect him to pass block. And that's the problem.
Alex, very generous of you. Thank you very much.
Wow, $50, man.
$50. Hopefully didn't mean to give me 5 and press an extra 0 by accident.
Hey, too late now. No give back.
Jay Rico says, Juice is so underrated. People seem to forget the time he banished Minka Fitzpatrick into the upside down.
Yeah, it's a Stranger Things reference. Yeah, I mean, that's my point, right? It's plays like that. And look, he literally scored almost a game-winning touchdown against Green Bay.
It's true. That's true. Mostert, Mitchell, Wilson, Sermon all get injured. The problem isn't the running backs, but the system. Hope it gets better.
I don't know. I mean, Mitchell's a smaller guy, although he runs toughest. I was going to curse.
Tough as hell,
man.
Actually, an outside zone system. It's a lot of outside runs. Those aren't the big hits that you get between the tackles.
And last week, Kyle Shanahan, it was all inside zones. So when I pulled up the next gen stats, it wasn't running out there. They were running in between the tackles. And that's what I was impressed most with Elijah Mitchell is he can give you the home run speed, but also those tough yards in between. 27 for 91 isn't going to exactly light up the scoreboard or get you excited, but I was excited with the way that he ran the ball because that's so versatile of him.
Yeah. I'd like to see Trey Sermon get involved because I like Jeff Wilson Jr. You can see what he does for the offense. I mean, Kyle really feels confident calling
pass blocking. He likes with him. Pass blocking and the receiving portion. But here's the thing with Trey Sermon. Something had to happen that they're not talking about. Right. Either he's missing a meeting or he like spoke up in a meeting, something that they're not saying because there's no other reason for any of this. And that's my story. I'm going to stick to it. They're not going to tell you. Yeah. They're not going to tell you what it is. And I'm not going to act like I know anything or anything like that. Right. But there has to be something. He had to be late to a meeting, miss a meeting, something like that. And college is making an example of it at this point. And also, it's nice when Jeff Wilson pulls up because you already know what you're getting from him, and they trust him, and they've used him a bunch. So
I just feel like they need Sermon and these guys like Mitchell so in and out that they can't afford to miss for him to miss any time.
And let's not get it twisted either. Trey Sermon, I don't know where people are getting this narrative that he plays bad or he's not a good runner, because whatever you want to say about that Green Bay game where he started slow, fine, that's whatever. But he was fine against Seattle, and he's averaging more than 4 yards a carry, which is what you want. Sermon's fine. He just needs to play a little bit more, but there has to be something more that's going on. It definitely isn't about just his play at all at this point.
All right, I got a bonus topic.
Oh, here we go.
So the practice participation report just came out.
Mm-hmm.
I'll read it. Well, hold on. I'll read it. Did not participate Thursday. Hasty, ankle.
Okay.
Hurst, calf. Mitchell, rib finger. So Mitchell hasn't participated in practice yet.
No contact injury. No contact jersey he was wearing today.
Yeah, but they listed him as did not participate. They didn't give him the limited. So he could still play on Sunday. And I'm not saying he won't, but it's definitely questionable at this point. So my question is, if Mitchell can't go, are you concerned about the 49ers in this game?
A little bit. But Jeff Wilson has shown that he can, when he's asked to do it, he did it against Arizona. He can do it. But you have to get Trey Sermon involved now. Now there's no way that you can just keep Wilson out there by himself. I swear to God, Kyle Shanahan, you're still the man to me, right? And this is a good game, and I'm back. You're back.
Yeah.
Whatever. But if I see Kyle Juszczyk take that first snap or something like that, and it's not Trey Sermon at all, dude, come on.
Because here's the way I look at it. Like from here on out, the Niners' goal, they said last week the goal was to have 40 runs. That's great. From here on out, the goal every week should be 30. Get to 30, because that was the second time this season the Niners have hit 30. Forget 40.
And
so
Kyle
30. Yeah, it's like great, dude. And that was your formula in 2019. So look, if Mitchell doesn't go and they don't play Sermon, they're definitely not getting to 30, because you could give Jeff Wilson Jr. 18, but you don't trust anyone else. So if Mitchell doesn't play, as you said, Sermon has to go. And I think if you have Sermon, you give Sermon 10 and Jeff Wilson Jr. 15 and Debo 5, you win. You win right there.
Would have been cool to keep Wayne Gallman instead of Jalen Hurd.
Here's the thing. Though I felt that this offseason the Niners had the right idea. Like, we're this run-first team, and we got caught with our pants down a little bit last year where we didn't have running backs to suit up. We're suiting up Jerick McKinnon, and that's it. So we're not going to let that happen this year. But really, the first half of the season, they had Elijah Mitchell, and that's it. At least in terms of people they trusted. So what? You need a committee, so get it. Get it. What?
Wayne Gallman would help. And he's about to play tonight because Cordero Patterson is inactive. So you're about to see Wayne Gallman. And Wayne Gallman played last week against the Dallas Cowboys for Atlanta. He's going to play tonight. And he's good in pass pro. He's a solid back. And when you call his number, he's going to be fine. That's what I was upset about. Everybody's like, well, you drafted Jalen Hurd in the third round. Who effing cares? Who cares, okay? Who cares? The guy's never going to play a game for the 49ers. No. And it's just, it was frustrating because you have an identity. You want to be this physical ground and pound team, but then you tell everybody, well, we're just going to try to see because Jalen Hurd caught 2 passes in the preseason, and we're going to see what happens with him.
Right. See, my thing with Jalen Hurd, I felt like they wanted to use him the last 3 years the way they used Jeff Wilson Jr. in this last game, like kind of a fullback, that guy who could block, but is he a wide receiver? Is he a running back? And he gets the other team at 11 personnel, and then now you bully him. So it's almost like the Niners were saving that brilliant game plan for Hurd, and then as soon as they cut him, they're like, all right, fine, let's dust it off. And I can't use this. Let's use it now. Fine. Yeah, well, it looked great. Love it. I saw the vision, but Jalen Hurd just wasn't it. Wasn't it? Debo is what they wanted Jalen Hurd to be.
I'll never forget the memories.
Jason, let me just make sure there's no other. There might be a couple more. Hold on. I don't
go for it. No, you're good. I gave my daughter the iPad. She's chilling.
It's the last one. Defense says defense plus Jimmy both play much better with a great run game. Why doesn't Kyle try to establish the run in the games? 11 carries for Cards. Yeah, that one kind of doesn't hold water anymore. Because you literally just did it. You literally just did it this week. Like Jason, here we'll go out on this. If who are they playing this week? Jacksonville. If Jacksonville called you up and be like, look, we want to pay you $1,000 an hour just to pick your brain. Like, what do we do to beat the 49ers? What would you tell them?
I would tell them to stack the line, play the middle of the field, make Jimmy Garoppolo throw outside the numbers, and take
If you
your
stack
chances.
the line, you can get Kyle to give up on his. You don't even have to stop there. You don't have to shut down.
Just show.
He'll shut it down.
And just show that stack box, and then what you do is you drop everybody into the middle of the field, and you leave your guys one-on-one out there, and you try to take your chances, and you hope that Jimmy Garoppolo is accurate that day. I would live and die by that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, I mean, Vance Joseph knows it. It's known. I have no idea what the Rams were trying to do.
So
it didn't really seem like they cared.
I don't want to be negative, right? Because the 49ers played a complete game. But what the hell were the Rams doing on both sides of the ball, man? I mean, it's literally the middle of the field numbers for Jimmy Garoppolo were striking. And it's like, dude, did you not know what they were going to be doing? You play them twice a year. So, look, the 49ers played a complete
the Cardinals
game.
know what to do, right? The Cardinals basically know what to do. The Seahawks own him. Sorry. The Seahawks really do well against Jimmy, but the Rams couldn't figure it out. Well, Morris is new, I guess.
Raheem Morris knows, man, and that's not come on, man. And look, here's the other thing.
McVay should know. McVay should know.
Here's the other thing is, look, the 49ers played a complete game, but the Rams, what is it about when the Rams play the 49ers that they throw up absolute turds every single time that they play? They play their worst games of the year every single time that they play. Drop passes, not knowing what to do. And one more thing that Kyle Shanahan did very good in this game, he kept Debo and his best players away from Jalen Ramsey. That's why you line them up in the backfield, you throw them into the slot, and you show them at the last moment because Jalen Ramsey has no time to get over there, and now you take your chances and you leave Jawan Jennings to be, guarded by Jalen Ramsey, which it doesn't even matter at that point. So I'll give him that. Stop the Greenlaw hate. You'll see the impact.
Okay, for you, Seth, we will.
All right, I'm sorry, Seth. I apologize.
Thanks everyone for watching. See you in the future.
Enjoy Mac Jones tonight. And make sure you guys send out a bunch of tweets when he completes a 3-yard pass. Like it's the best thing you ever saw in your life.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Woo! All right, everyone. See you around.